So just finished watching the Gear 5 episode. We wanted to maybe meet up after the episode and talk about it, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to make that happen. So me, Dakota, and actually Nate as well, because he's the only one of us who hadn't read the manga, so he didn't really know exactly what was going to happen. All decided to just go ahead and record our reaction right after, put it together here so you can hear our initial thoughts on the episode. I'd personally say it's like an 8 out of 10 episode. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 episode for me. It wasn't as good as 10:15, and it wasn't as good as Zoro's fight with King for sure, but it was still pretty great. The highs were really high. The only things that brought it down were they showed the same animation 3 times of him jumping around on the ground. They like slow motioned Kaido killing Luffy from like 2 episodes ago. That took like felt like a year to get through that moment. And then the whole Hiyori scene, I mean, I like that part, and I really liked it in the manga a lot more, but in the anime, they definitely brought down the animation for that part. I wish they would have kept the budget up for that, but I did love seeing Orochi get burnt to death. But about the part that matters, the Gear 5 part, incredibly good. The animation, something I've never seen before in any anime. I've never seen anything like that. So personally, I was really worried if they were going to be able to capture the cartoony nature but still make it look cool, still make it feel like anime and feel exciting and epic and not too goofy, but still somewhat goofy because it needs to be. And I actually think they somehow pulled it off. The way everything moves around Luffy in Gear 5th. Obviously, the beautiful animation after the midpoint where they come back and he actually is fighting Kaido. We've got the eyes popping out. We've got crazy things moving everywhere. Like, it was wild. I remember when I first read it in the manga, it was a little hard to even keep up with in the manga, so I loved seeing it animated. Even though it was still a little hard to keep up with completely sometimes, it was a little easier to see exactly what was happening. I also love the filter that they put on it that made it kind of look like old Dragon Ball Z movies, which was really cool. I don't know if you guys caught that. There's a few parts where there's this like filter that they put over the really good animation, but with this kind of old style filter that was really nice. And saturation on the characters, the saturation on Kaido being kind of turned down at some points made it look a lot more cartoony. Overall, I think they did it. Also, I want to talk about the ending theme because we finally got an ending theme for One Piece again. I love it. The animation on that is also super clean. I wish they could go back and reanimate the whole show to be in the animation of that ending theme. We will get a new opening theme next week. I don't know what it's going to be, but if Gear 5th's in it, I'm glad they didn't play it for this week. Overall, I think they definitely nailed the transformation. They nailed the first moment. I wish it would have been an hour-long episode so we could have got the next chapter animated where we actually get to see him fight more. But what we did see of Gear 5th Luffy, I'm loving so far. Just had a couple of little gripes with the episode itself. But overall, not bad. I loved it.
It's time. It's time for Luffy to go. Gear 5, everyone. It's time. Been waiting. I read this in the manga close to a year ago, over a year ago. I can't remember when it was, but this was big. If I'm thinking right, this is going to be one of the biggest moments in anime, period. This is me before the episode. Then after that, you'll get my initial reaction. So hopefully it's as good as it's been made out to be. So let's go. Gear 5 absolutely did not disappoint. Absolutely did not disappoint. I don't know if it quite reached my level of expectation to as greatest moment in anime. You know, that actually might come next week. But man, it really was worth it to when you finally see it from the manga translated to like animation. Man, they really, really knocked it out of the park. And I'm gonna watch it again, and then I'll write some notes, and then I'll put some more actual thought into it. But this is just my initial reaction. It was incredible. I think they focused a little too much on Hiyori and Orochi. You know, I probably could have spent a little less time with that, but that's a big deal. They did need to touch on that, so I get it. But overall, though, fantastic episode. I don't know if I'll say one of the best episodes. You know, I'll have to watch it again. We'll see. But absolutely worth the wait, and I hope everybody else enjoyed it too.
I just got done watching the newest One Piece episode 1071. Gear 5th is here. It was crazy. I mean, it's hard to put in the words. Gear 5th is unlike any anime transformation I've ever seen. One Piece is one of like the more epic fight scene sort of things that I watch, and Gear 5th is so weird and wacky. It was not what I was expecting. I didn't read any of the manga, so I didn't know what to expect. It was like an old American cartoon. The way the eyeballs fly out of the head and you have to grab them and put them back in your face, and like Kaido having to shake the burn off of him from getting hit by his own attack. Like blowing air into your thumb and creating a giant fist was already a bit wacky, but for some reason Gear 5th makes it even wackier. I mean, he tosses Kaido around in his dragon form like a freaking rag doll. It's hard to explain in words without just like watching it for yourself. This episode doesn't show a ton of what Gear 5th can do. In the next episode, they tease that it's going to be like way more, which I'm super excited to see the full extent of what Gear 5th can do. My gosh, it just wasn't at all what I thought Gear 5th would be, because like there's all this hype and lore about who Joy Boy is, and it just turns out he's the anime version of Bugs Bunny, going nuts with the cartoon logic. Like anime has its own logic, cartoons have its own logic, and they mesh here, and they mesh in such a good way. It was just fun to watch. And I can't wait for next week's episode. Every week, especially during this Wano arc, One Piece leaves me wanting more, so I can't wait for next week.